The rain was falling in heavy sheets that turned the city into a blur of silver streaks, and inside the soft glow of the riverside restaurant, Adrian Hale kept glancing toward the entrance with growing impatience. The millionaire entrepreneur, always perfectly groomed, always in control, had agreed to a rare blind date only because a friend insisted it was time he opened his heart again. But as the minutes stretched, and the storm outside intensified, he began to wonder if hope was nothing but a foolish luxury he kept trying to convince himself he didn't need. He was just about to signal the waiter to cancel everything when the doors swung open with a gust of wind, and a woman stumbled inside, covered in mud from her boots to her hair, leaving wet footprints on the polished floor. And for a breathless moment, all he could think was, this must be some kind of mistake. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected people changing your life, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to channel name. Your support helps us create more stories that touch hearts. As the storm raged behind her, she stood trembling, clutching a broken umbrella, her coat ripped at one shoulder, her hair matted as though she had fought her way through the world just to be here. And in that instant, Adrian's first instinct was to walk away. Not because she wasn't pretty, he couldn't even see her features clearly, but because he had spent a lifetime believing in order, precision, and plans. Everything about her arrival was chaos. But something in her eyes, something fragile yet fierce, stopped him. It wasn't beauty or charm or elegance. It was a quiet kind of bravery. A determination to show up even when everything was stacked against her. And something deep within him shifted. Her name was Ilara, and the mud on her clothes was not just from slipping in the storm, but from helping a stranded motorist whose car had crashed into a ditch. She had no time to clean up, no chance to salvage her appearance, yet she came anyway. She came because she believed promises mattered. She came because she needed a moment of normalcy in a life filled with responsibilities that drained her spirit every day. She worked 2 jobs, cared for her younger brother, and carried the weight of a family that depended on her after losing everything to a financial collapse years earlier. She had no luxury of time, no space for dreams, yet she had shown up with a heart full of hope. Adrian found himself studying her with a curiosity he hadn't felt in years. She apologized softly, her voice unsteady but sincere, explaining how she couldn't leave the injured stranger instead of rushing to make it on time. And as she spoke, he felt something unfamiliar: respect. He saw a woman who didn't care about first impressions if it meant choosing compassion over convenience. His perfectly planned world seemed suddenly small in comparison to the courage she carried in her imperfections. While she tried to hide her embarrassment, he found himself unexpectedly drawn to her honesty, her rawness, her humanity. As they sat together, the atmosphere shifted gently from awkward to warm. Ilara, despite her messy appearance, spoke with a quiet, steady passion about the little joys she held onto in life. The way she found comfort in morning sunlight, how she believed every person deserved to feel seen, how she wished she could escape her struggles but chose instead to face them head-on because she refused to be defined by hardship. Adrian, who had built walls so high that even he forgot what lived behind them, felt those walls cracking. Her presence softened him. Her strength humbled him. Her resilience reminded him of the parts of himself he had buried beneath success, pressure, and expectations. Throughout the evening, he couldn't stop noticing the small, beautiful things about her. The way her eyes lit up when she spoke about her brother's dreams. The way she smiled even when recounting her challenges, as though she refused to let the world steal her joy. The way she held her hands together tightly when she talked about her fears, revealing the weight she carried every day yet still walked through life with kindness as her compass. He realized then that true beauty had nothing to do with polished appearances. It lived in spirit, character, and heart. Ilara was not used to luxury, and the restaurant felt like another world to her, but Adrian found himself wanting to make her feel comfortable, wanting to protect her from the insecurity he sensed beneath her brave exterior. And somewhere between shared stories, quiet laughter, and the storm easing outside, Adrian began to see the night not as a ruined date but a moment he desperately needed, an unexpected reminder that life's most meaningful encounters rarely arrive wrapped in perfection. What began as a chance meeting slowly blossomed into a bond neither of them had expected. Adrian, who had spent years chasing success, discovered joy in simple things again: long walks, shared meals, small celebrations. Ilara, who had carried the world alone for so long, found comfort in having someone who listened, someone who didn't judge, someone who saw her strength even when she couldn't. Their journeys were not easy. Adrian's world was filled with scrutiny, doubts from people around him, and constant pressure. Ilara's reality was filled with responsibilities, financial burdens, and fears of never truly fitting into a life beyond survival. But together, they began creating a space where both their worlds could breathe. The more he learned about her sacrifices, the more determined he became to support her, not by swooping in as a savior, but by standing with her as a partner. He encouraged her to dream again, to believe in possibilities she had long buried. She taught him the value of patience, humility, and meaning. And slowly, their hearts found rhythm in each other's presence. But life, as always, tested them. Ilara's past struggles resurfaced when her brother fell seriously ill, and she found herself drowning under medical bills and emotional fear. She tried to push Adrian away, unwilling to let him witness her darkest moments, afraid he would see her as a burden rather than a blessing. Yet Adrian, remembering the night she walked into that restaurant covered in mud yet full of courage, refused to step aside. He reminded her that love wasn't built on perfection, it was built on showing up for one another, even when everything feels heavy. Their connection deepened through hardship, not ease. And one evening, as they sat together watching the city lights ripple across the river, the same river beside which they first met, Adrian gently took her hand and told her she was the bravest person he had ever known. Ilara, overwhelmed, realized that the world hadn't given her many reasons to trust, yet here was someone who saw her heart before her appearance, someone who stayed when she felt unworthy, someone who chose her even on her worst days. Love, she realized, didn't arrive dressed in perfection. It arrived drenched in rain, covered in mud, trembling with fear, but willing to show up. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your engagement helps us bring more emotional, inspiring stories to life. Before the story ends, special request: comment below what moment in this story moved you the most.